In this video, we'll be covering IP geolocation. So given a certain IP address, we will be able to approximately determine geographically where that IP address is coming from. And so what I have here is the documentation for the geoip2 Python module. So in this package, it basically offers two different services. The first one is a web service. The web service, you simply sign up for an account in which you get a user ID and license key, and then you call the web service every time you make a request. So in this scenario, you would pay per request. And the second option is a database that you download locally to your files or someplace within your application's infrastructure. And so you would read from that database that you downloaded. And so this is what we'll be using the geoip2 city database in this example. So the first thing we need to do is install the package. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And let's go to a terminal window. And let's go ahead and install it using pip. Actually, let's set up a virtual environment for this. Okay, so I'm going to set up a virtual environment using my homebrew version of Python 3. And I'm going to pass the always copy. And we need to go ahead and activate so if we look at our files, we're going to have this directory right here for our virtual environment, which we just set up. I go over how I set this up in a previous video, but you can just follow along. And if you have virtual environment installed using pip, you can just use that. The next step will be to activate our virtual environment. Yeah, it's like I spelled source wrong. Okay, and then our virtual environment is running because it's next to our command prompt. And if we go ahead and install geoip2 using pip. So if we go ahead and list what we have, you will see that not only do we have geoip2, but we also have maxminedb. So there's a wrapper as a dependency to be able to read maxmind. They have their own databases. So the next thing that we need to do is we're going to be using the free version, the City Lite database, and we need to go ahead and download that. So I'm going to go back to the browser, and then so this page here, I'll put the link in the description. But what we're going to be downloading is this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the link address for the geoip2 city database. And let's go back to our terminal. And I'm going to use wget to get this file. So if I list the files in my directory, so now I have this geoip2 city, this tar zip file. Now we could go to the Finder and unarchive the file, but we can also use the tar command. So if we use the tar command, there's a few options we need to pass in. So we need the X to extract, Z because it's a gzip file, and then we also have to pass F. And so if we run that, we have a new directory, geolite city, right here. So we can go ahead and remove this original file. And then if we check and see what is in our folder, the folder that we downloaded and extracted. And the file that we're interested in is this geolitecity.mmdb. So the first thing we need to do is we need to import the geoip2 library, specifically the database. And let's set up a new variable called reader. And so what we need to do at this point is pass the path to the database, which we can see in the file tree is in that folder. So we need to copy that. So MMDB, MMDB file is the MaxMind database file. So if we have the library installed, we'll be able to, since we have the library installed, we can read from that. So once we have this connection to read from the database, we can go ahead and set up our variable. Then we can call the city method. And so what we need to do is pass in an IP. Let's go 130, let's say .10. And then once we're finished, we just need to close the reader. Now when we get this response back, we're going to get a bunch of properties in which we can output or print. I'm going to go ahead, since there's a lot of them, I'm going to go ahead and copy some of them from another file. Okay, so we have things like the ISO code, country name, and things like that. Now subdivisions, response.subdivisions, that is what's going to give us our state info. Okay, so we can see that for the IP address we passed in, so we have somewhere in Hawaii. I can't pronounce the city name. Anyhow, so just a random IP address. It did pull up the city name, and this is an approximate location. And that's basically how simple it is to install the geoip2 library from MaxMind, run the database lookup to find city, state, country information based on an IP address. And keep in mind also that a free version, the geoip2, that's updated. I believe it's updated monthly. They also offer, like I said at the beginning of the video, a web service that's updated more frequently. However, you pay by the amount of usage that you use. They also have some larger databases that you pay for. I think those are also updated more frequently and have more information. But the free version is enough to get started, and if approximate data is all that you need, this might be more than enough to fit your needs. Thank you for watching.